This week's episode of This Is Only a Test is brought to you by HP Workstations. With prices starting at just $1,465, HP Workstations enable you to innovate without boundaries, expanding as your workflow grows. Plus, you get free shipping, returns, and customer support 24/7, 365 days of the year. And right now, you can get an exclusive offer just for our listeners. Get 15% off select HP Workstations with Intel Core i5 processors when you go to hp.com/test and use the code ONLYATEST at checkout. That's hp.com/test using the code ONLYATEST to get 15% off select HP Workstations. That's valid through July 31st. Whether you have a small business that's looking to grow or you're an established business and are ready to take the next step, HP Workstations with Intel Core i5 processors are for you.
Hey, let's start the show.
For Friday, July 14th, 2017, welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. Hello and welcome to a belated episode this week of This Is Only a Test. We're recording on Friday and hopefully getting this out to you on Friday as well. But we have good reasons for that because I'm joined by our standard crew. I'm Norm with Jeremy and back from vacation.
Oi, mate.
Kishore Hari.
Yeah, that's the right accent for coming back from London, right?
Hello, mate.
Yeah, there we go.
That's better, right?
Yeah, throw in a little governor
Oi,
in there.
governor.
Yeah,
Kishore, tell us about London.
I went to London and I did a lot of touristy stuff. I love London. London's probably my favorite city in the world that I've been to so far.
I love London, too.
Yeah.
I too love London.
Here we go.
It's calling.
It was really warm in Europe. I went to London and Paris. But big thumbs up for the Into the Unknown exhibit that Norm talked about a couple weeks ago. I went to that. It was amazing.
Is that the sci-fi exhibit?
That's the sci-fi exhibit. It was great to see some of those props from Ex Machina close up and Spock's suit. I loved it. It was really sweet little exhibition.
You know, I actually just posted some photos from that exhibit on the site. Just I took way too many and I only posted about 40 of them to give you a sense of like what props are there. I think it's totally worth going to. I think they have over 800 different artifacts there, whether they're props or a piece of art or vintage science fiction magazines and novels. But the way it's all laid out felt less like your standard white wall museum things against a wall and felt more almost like a festival. Like things were stacked on top of each other. They had different types of displays, lots of multimedia. You really felt immersed in the culture of science fiction.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different interaction types. It wasn't just like looking at things in frames. There was a lot of tactile pieces. I love I'm forgetting the artist that did like the Star Wars films, all without any characters as a vertical scroller. So you'd scroll through and see the graphics.
And that's pop art. That's like a permutation, a remix of science fiction and pop culture. What else did you do in London? What was tell me about food.
We had lots of various kinds of food, lots of Indian food. I went with my family, my brother, sister, my parents went.
Have you had better Indian food anywhere in the world?
I have. There's this place called India that has pretty good Indian food.
From what I understand, a lot of great chefs from India have made residence in London.
This is true.
And are competing with one another.
I mean, I some really good Indian meals. I think London's great for assorted ethnic foods because it's just like San Francisco and other big urban cities. It's this melting pot of all of these different cuisines, and that was my favorite part. Did you have the beef bagel?
No, what? There's a beef bagel? I like bagels. I like beef.
So I was staying in this part of town called Shoreditch, which is basically like the Mission District of San Francisco. It is like hipster central London.
Geographically, where is it relative to the Thames?
It's north. It's just north of the city center, not by a whole lot.
Okay.
They have like a cereal restaurant there. Like, that's how hipster it is.
Wow.
But they have these beef bagels, which are basically like corned beef on a bagel, and this place is open 24/7. It is
Fantastic.
great.
Cheese? Yes, no?
No cheese. A little bit of mustard.
I can
Pickle.
forgive them.
Beef bagel.
Beef bagel.
Beef bagel.
Right.
That's the name
I
of
think
this
it's the
episode.
only traditional British food I had. Traditional, quote unquote. Somebody
You had like banners
tested-
and mash and
Nope, didn't
Ah.
go for anything like that. Didn't
Okay.
have. Yeah, London's like spent time at the British Museum, bunch of museums, Tower of
Yes.
London, looking at all the suits of armor. It was
Yeah.
really wonderful.
that crazy Henry VIII armor, the giant Goliath, and compared to the child's armor. Yeah, really
The
good stuff.
only hot take I have is we did the London Eye. I hate that thing.
Oh, really? That was
I
like the
don't like
thing
that.
that Adam was like, go do the London Eye. It's worth it.
I don't like it. It's a Ferris wheel amidst a city skyscape that is full of these historic buildings, and then there's a Ferris wheel.
It's not an open air Ferris wheel either.
No.
It's
I mean, it's slow moving. It's sponsored by Coke, so I was really excited to go and like have a Diet Coke on board, and I did. But outside of that, nothing to write home about.
all right.
Here's a hot tip: Paris, when it's 95 degrees outside, and you touch the Eiffel Tower,
It's hot.
it's also hot.
What?
That's my tip.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I didn't get the chance to go to the Eiffel Tower, unfortunately.
Quick note about last week's show.
Yes.
I've been trying to play PUBG. I'm terrible at the game. I always go to military base and get my
you listened
ass
to
kicked.
last week's show.
I did.
Of course.
I listened to it on the plane, and I'm all about the Josh OG stream. That's the positivity stream instead of the Dr. Disrespect stream that Norm was referring to.
Oh, mustaches are funny. And
Dr.
wigs.
D is pretty funny, but I think Josh OG is better.
All right.
They're actually on a stream last night together.
There are some talented streamers. I watched the stream of a guy who pretends to be a military sergeant, and he takes control of his squad of random people
Yeah.
as soon as they're dropped in there, and he starts giving them instructions.
That's
and,
amazing.
And playing like it's not a game.
That's not easy to do.
It's not, because he ad-libs the whole thing, and he clearly either has military experience or he's just immersed himself in that world.
Gary, what you got some work to do, or Brad X, whatever you're calling yourself these days. Next week, a little bit of preview for next week. We are going to San Diego Comic-Con. I say it with a little bit of hesitation in my voice, not because I'm not excited for it, but because it is always this overwhelming thought, and I haven't completely switched my brain over to Comic-Con. But we're hopefully still going to have a podcast. You guys aren't going, but hopefully you guys will be able to record this is only a test episode there.
We shall see.
Anything quickly you're looking forward to?
Toys?
Yeah, Sunday. So here's the secret I learned last year going to Comic-Con with Norm. Thursday through Saturday is all about work. It's like the incognitos, all of the other
Tuesday to
tested
Saturday,
shit.
yeah.
Tuesday to
Yeah,
Saturday.
we get
but
there
Sunday
early.
morning, you can find Norm roaming the exhibit hall, hunting out collectible deals.
Way to spend. Yeah. How can I best spend this money? Maybe not on too many toys and movie posters.
There are going to be some incognitos
There
this
will
year?
be some incognitos. We are finalizing them as of even half an hour ago. So our things will get packed into boxes, and we'll be bringing them down to San Diego very soon.
And just for the fans, incognito or incogniti? Are we talking multiples? Like
I can't disclose that. Adam already revealed too much. You got to listen to Still Entitled, where he dropped way too much information about this year's plans, and I had to stop him mid podcast. Mondo, big. They do the posters. Our friend Kevin Tong has an amazing 2001: Space Odyssey poster, which he's going to be unveiling down there, and that's I think what I'm eyeing right now.
Have you seen it?
I've seen the image of it, but the images online never do those posters justice because they are so talented. The screen printers are, and the designers, of course, in using metallic inks and using like holographic foil for some of these posters, and they really go all out for Comic-Con. So that's a massive line. Even before Comic-Con is next week. I'll be gone tomorrow, back in LA. I was in LA yesterday. I'll be back there for D23. So that's a Disney's expo It's like the pre-Comic-Con.
I can't believe they
convention.
put it so close to Comic-Con. It's ridiculous.
And this is all things Disney. Pixar, there'll probably be panels about the next Pixar films. There'll already be costumes from like Avengers, Infinity War at D23.
You can take a picture of that gauntlet for me.
I will take so many pictures for sure. I'll be there all day on Saturday. If you guys are there, please say hi. And the convention actually opens today. It's in Anaheim. And what they have, the big talk of the town, is they have a preview of Star Wars Land.
When you say preview, is it a little miniature? Is it a painting?
It is not a little miniature. It is. I would call a bigature, if you could call it that. They're like in the Lord of the Rings size,
like the Disneyland at the museum here in the Presidio.
I haven't seen it, but the photos I've seen online, I've seen that.
Yeah.
So at the Walt Disney Family Museum, there is I think Funko and 3210. They worked on a miniature representation of Disneyland, which is I want to say maybe like 3 meters by 5 meters. It's pretty massive, and this looks at least that scale.
Wow.
And it's supposed to be a representation of Star Wars Land in Walt Disney World and also Disneyland. Last time I went to D23, they had the miniature for Shanghai Disney. And that was before that was opening, and they really go all out in bringing like the Imagineering, and they're showing you like what the rides potentially, what the queues are going to look like, what the seats are going to look like, the theming, and people who are big Disney fans go crazy at that stuff. So it's not just about buying pins.
There's a full-size Millennium Falcon purportedly in Star Wars Land, and it shows up in the model.
It's in the model, yeah. And they've built out. This model serves no purpose other than marketing. I don't believe this is like a reference model that Imagineers or landscapers or architects are using. That's already been done. That's all on computers. This is purely to get fans excited. And just even looking at the photos, I'm excited.
I wonder what
I'm excited by the number of people they represent. There's like 30 people in Star Wars Land.
I know, it's no lines whatsoever.
That's what I want.
I'm that kid right there. Yeah. That's, of course, not opening for a while, but this is the first public glimpse, I think, of what that Star Wars Land is going to look like. I'm sure there'll be plenty of other things at D23, Disney-related, and I can't wait to check that out. But I don't think we're filming a ton of stuff down there.
Are you going solo? Are you going with anybody?
Frank and I are going to go, and we're just going to hang out, and we have an obligation that I can't talk about right now that we are going to be revealing soon. So,
awesome.
I'll be flying down there, but if I had more time and things weren't so crazy, I would consider taking the bus.
The sleep bus is back.
I don't know. What's the sleep bus?
We talked about this, I don't know, it must have been like a year ago on the podcast. There was a company in San Francisco that basically rented a tractor trailer and outfitted it with sleeping pods that you would lie flat in these sort of bunk bed systems with like high-tech gear inside, like screens and custom music in there.
I think you're giving it way too much credit.
am.
They were purely, they called it like the sleep bus back then. And you're right, it was a trailer. You're living the back of Optimus Prime. Like that's how they should advertise it. Sleep in the womb of Prime as he drives you from San Francisco to Santa Monica. And it sold out really quickly. They were really cheap tickets. I think like $50 or something, a one-way trip, which you could, I know, get a flight down to LA around that price, but no problem.
But basically get picked up 9 p.m. in San Francisco, arrive in Santa Monica at 7 in the morning.
Yes, exactly. And they have, coffee and amenities. But that startup is now a real company, and they've actually refurbished double-decker buses. They've renamed themselves. They're called Cabin. They've also doubled their prices. It's like $120 now.
Yeah, it's not
for a
worth
one-way
it.
trip. So it makes it much less.
Starting at $120.
But for the novelty and not have to deal with security and air travel to begin with.
So yes, like I fly to LA a lot, and I fly out of Oakland. So I get up at 5 a.m. I get to drive all the way to East Bay. I got to pay for parking, right? That's like $24 a day just for parking there.
Right.
And I got to go through security. Oakland's great because I have TSA pre. But here, you're literally walking on a bus. And if you look at the photos of Cabin, they look like futuristic space pods. This is almost like some retro science fiction style padded. They look like the cubicles in the Falcon, in the Millennium Falcon. In the living quarters, next to where the chess set is. If you look, it's like the oval pods with padded walls. This looks a little bit like that.
Is there any more than one picture online?
I can only find like 2 or 3.
Yeah,
like,
they've done limited press so far. At that price, it's probably not going to work out, but they only need a small number of people to really buy into this.
Right.
Because they only have so much capacity.
I don't know. I think
I have to go down to LA a bunch for a Star Wars project I'm working on. So like one of us gotta have to do it.
All right. I mean, it's also like you can't put 2 people, and if you're traveling with your partner, you have individual beds. They're supposedly only like 3 feet
hanky
tall,
panky on the cabin
like,
bus.
Only about 6 feet, little over 6 feet long. So if you're a tall person, then that's maybe not going to work for you. They say they have clean sheets to be tested. Wi-Fi, but if you're going to be sleeping, why would you want Wi-Fi? And there's a bathroom. My most important concern.
Norman, did you just say, why would you need Wi-Fi? You, of all people?
I mean, if you're on the ground, you have LTE.
Oh, okay.
Down the I-5, it's no problem.
Fair enough.
And my concern is climate control. If you're talking about, 24 people sleeping on a bus overnight, they're going to be farts.
Yep.
You need a way to siphon that out.
there will be farts.
Yeah. Fartbus.co.
The fartbus.co domain is available.
Not anymore. Nah, I'm not going to pick it up. All right. We got a lot of stuff to talk about this week. Did either of you watch SpiderMan Homecoming?
No,
I'm so
Twip.
far behind.
It's TWIP, Jeremy.
I'm sorry.
Twip.
It's not.
No, it's TWIP. Just like Wolverine's claws are schnick. Spider-Man's web shooters are TWIP.
Come on, he's the people's hero.
I never knew that. Like you're saying in the comic book, it was always written the same.
Yeah.
THWIP.
That's impressive.
TWIP.
I thought they'd mix it up.
TWIP.
Wow.
Did you see it?
Yes. I enjoyed the spit out of it.
I was very worried about this movie. I didn't have a chance to see it yet, so no spoilers.
Yeah, we're not going to go into spoilers. And I think if you listen to this podcast, I was skeptical too, because we had seen so many Spider-Man films, and they actually showed, I thought, way too much in the last couple trailers. So I kind of tuned out. But the reviews are good. The reviews are great. 90% fresh, 92% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. So definitely it made it into my schedule, watched it, and I loved this film.
It's a different studio, right, than most of the MCU.
So it came about very interestingly because the Sony Columbia TriStar owns the rights for Spider-Man films, and this is where they had the rights way back before Marvel Studios as a studio even existed, and they produced the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films, the Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield, and then because of the growth of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Marvel, they'd been pulling rights back to all their characters. Iron Man was not a Marvel film. Iron Man was Paramount. The Hulk was not a Marvel film. That was owned by Universal. And they'd renegotiated, pulled the rights back. Those deals expired, and Marvel Studios became its own entity. Marvel Studios, even though it's owned by Disney, Buena Vista, whatever, it is its own studio. Like they have a whole slate of films. So this is produced by Marvel Studios. That all the people who worked on it but it is co-produced, lent out rights-wise by Sony. So Sony actually makes all the money on this, but the people who worked on it are Marvel Studios because they wanted the creative control, and it worked out. And it was smart because Sony, I don't think, was doing the best job at, and they wanted the network effects of bringing Spider-Man into the MCU. And that's how you have Tony Stark in this movie and Spider-Man in Civil War.
I mean, Marvel is still going to benefit greatly from a successful Spider-Man franchise, regardless of whether they have a cut of the actual profits.
Right.
Because it'll raise the boat for the entire MCU.
But it's so confusing if it was a Spider-Man franchise that had nothing tied to the MCU. If they just rebooted or continue with the Andrew Garfield story, people would be so confused because they read the comics and these characters interact all the time, and it would be a big elephant in the room why these things don't interact. And the story actually benefits. The character of Spider-Man benefits from living in a world where he's not the only superhero, where people know about the Avengers, and this is just a kid who's learning his powers and trying to be a hero, in Queens. And so I don't want to go into plot details. I think everyone in the film is great. Michael Keaton is great. There's a great. Did you see him on Colbert?
No.
Oh, you guys got to pull up this clip on Colbert. Michael Keaton comes in. Colbert is like, no, this is, he was Batman, he was Birdman, and now he's the Vulture. He's in Spider-Man, and he sits down and says, so you were Batman, you were Birdman, and Michael Keaton goes, I am Batman. Common mistake, just off the cuff. I am Batman. It's okay. So everyone's great in SpiderMan Homecoming. It feels appropriate, like a follow-up to Civil War, and I think Tom Holland's a great Spider-Man.
Yeah, so tonally they nailed Spider-Man as being like still very positive character, but a teenager still. So
there's a lot of wonder in this film.
That's good,
and a lot of people make it feel very akin to. It's a very teenage coming of age story. It's almost like a John Hughes film.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
If you like Breakfast Club, it's Spider-Man Breakfast Club.
Oh, don't say that. I mean, I love Breakfast Club.
Do you like Ferris Bueller?
Yeah.
Then it's Spider-Man Ferris Bueller.
Wow. All right. Sign me up.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
This has been an incredible summer. I mean, both on the blockbusters, like Wonder Woman really nailed it. I know. Apologies, Jeremy. Didn't love it. But it's done well. Then we've had like indie flicks like Baby Driver and The Big Sick.
Big Sick, which I saw
do really well.
Critically and financially.
Yeah, so Planet of the Apes is coming out, and that's starting to get good reviews.
It's out this week. It's 95%, 94% on Rotten Tomatoes yet again. It's a movie that I think when I was talking to Joey about this, like I didn't need this trilogy to exist. I didn't need a reboot, but Matt Reeves, the director, really owns it, and I can't wait to see it this weekend. I'll talk a little bit about full disclaimer. I went on set to Planet of the Apes. Fox flew me out a year and a half ago as they were filming, and they had filmed it in Vancouver. They had built a giant outdoor prison set, and it was before we had actually went to the Alien Covenant set. So it might have been one of my first big movie sets I went on, and it was just impressive to watch all these hundreds of people work in the middle of the night in the cold to film with actors in mocap suits, performance capture suits, as apes. Yeah, that's really cool.
Is that what we went down onto Crissy Field and we saw them doing the?
That was the previous film.
That was okay. That was not this film.
Planet of the Apes.
That was more than a year and a half ago.
That was like 2.5 years ago.
All right.
Yeah. So this is War of the Planet of the Apes, all shot 65mm film. They said they wanted to make it giant landscapes, almost like a western, and like Weta's effects. I mean, if you guys haven't seen Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, it's worth watching. I think you can. It's. I want to say it's on HBO, but some of the shots in that film of the CG characters are some of the best CG characters I've ever seen. They look so convincing.
Wow.
The performances. There's like, I mean, they're not humans, right? So it's not the same uncanny valley. They're apes, but the expressiveness of the characters they're truly believable as characters on screen, not only interacting amongst themselves, but interacting and acting against live actors.
Jungle Book's supposed to be the new high bar, and I still haven't seen that.
Jungle Book and the BFG.
The BFG is good?
The BFG, in terms of performance capture. In hearing about, it's in the interview that we did with one of the VFX producers when I was out there. They said the movies that really push the bar, because these movies take 2 years to make, right? So from a production pipeline standpoint, they're locked into whatever tech Weta or ILM or Digital Domain is working on at that time, even though Weta never stops writing code. They have people always experimenting with. But at some point, 6 months into production, they're locked into that pipeline. They can't just say, oh, they have a new fur shader, we got to transfer that. That's for the next film. So they borrow and piggyback off of the lessons learned from other studios, because the VFX producers work between films. So they were saying BFG was like the real high bar.
Wow.
They did so much field testing and performance capture in that film that it really changed performance capture. It was a next step. And a lot of that stuff is not detectable from the audience perspective, right? Like, it's not supposed to be, right? When you watch, I think you have to go back, like when we watched Gollum in Lord of the Rings, that was like a big watershed moment for performance capture. But now the stigma of performance capture is gone. It's not like, let's get a quote unquote performance artist, performance character artist, character performer, and put them in a mocap suit and hire them this. Now it's like big name A-list actors like Mark Rylance who like are hired for roles that they know are entirely performance capture driven.
Given how well they've done on de-aging, which you talked about extensively on a previous Still Untitled, this doesn't surprise me that the mocap has gotten this far too.
Yeah, I think obviously Avatar was a big part of that. So, Jim Cameron's working on Avatar 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. So.
Come a long way since the Polar Express.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Or Beowulf.
Yeah, I mean those are horrible,
right? I mean,
horrible in retrospect.
No, horrible then,
and they're horrible for different ways, right?
You're right. A lot of people liked them. I couldn't stand the
Beowulf was bad.
The Uncanny Valley.
And the Uncanny Valley, it's in the eyes, it's in the performance. There are a lot of different. You can't pinpoint the one thing when you say for those old Zemeckis films. Maybe the eyes were the thing that weren't that wonderfully captured, but is it the facial expressions? Is it the body movements? We take a lot of this from VR as well. Like, what's the thing that makes it believable that there's a person that's represented digitally,
yep,
whether on screen or in a headset. Anyway, enough about movies. We're gonna pivot a little bit of a somber note. I didn't actually know about this until this week, but Geek Chic, the makers of boutique board game tabletop furniture had gone out of business.
Like, this is nice furniture.
Yeah, gorgeous. They would be at cons a lot of times showing off like this real handmade solid wood, incredibly intricate tables.
And also chair. They had a captain's chair, like an original Star Trek series captain's chair, that if you didn't know it was a captain's chair, it would still just look like a gorgeous chair.
Yeah, absolutely exquisite. I had a chance to play a game on one at a friend's place a couple years ago, and it was really delightful.
How big? It was with like it was one of the drawers, and
it had drawers. It wasn't like the super high end one, but it was rectangular. It wasn't one of the square ones, so it was a little. I think you could fit 6 people.
They had really clever names for them too. Like one was called like the Sultan. The entry level one was called the Ambassador. Like the question I always had was like, could I afford, because they were pricey, could I afford this as a dedicated like living room table or dining room table, or is it really for people who have the space to have a den and this fits in their den? Because I couldn't justify buying one just for a side room.
Some of them really did have that feel of a legit dining room table that you could convert. It's sad. I guess we had gotten hints about this. They've been they had been on Shark Tank a few years ago and talked about some of their financials, but I wish them well. I know there's some customers that have deposits in, so hopefully they'll get their money back.
Yeah, that's sad.
And they were stand up people running this company. They were really nice to chat with. They also it was really fun to see them at conventions, because even though I wasn't in the market for furniture, they also brought their armory to conventions. It made out of scrap wood that they had from making the tables. They would also make these amazing like wooden swords and axes and hammers that you could buy, and I'll miss that as well.
I think there are fans that tested. I think I walked by their booth once with you, and they're like, "Norm, hey."
Yeah. No, we did the thing with them. I mean, one of our first builds we did with Adam was modifying a Geek Chic sword and wrapping it in leather and giving it a aluminum tape finish.
Oh, I didn't realize that was a Geek Chic sword.
That was a Geek Chic sword.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
They didn't even need that much more money. According to Polygon, they had $2 million in sales in 2012, but still ran at $100,000 loss.
Well, that's not good. That's a lot of sales.
Yeah,
that would be running a loss. But
wood ain't cheap.
Hopefully, other sort of boutique sellers will emerge as a phoenix rising from this.
A little bit of positive news from another friend of Tested. Steve Sansweet at Rancho Obi-Wan is getting justice. So this was a little bit of a controversy in the Star Wars fan community. Steve Sansweet runs a museum called Rancho Obi-Wan up in Petaluma, in the northern part of the Bay Area, and he has what is claimed to be the largest private collection of Star Wars memorabilia.
Have you been there?
Oh yes, it's totally worth visiting to see his like rarities, the one-offs, the Boba Fett with a jetpack that they never shipped.
Is this the guy who has the Death Star? Like, I heard about this guy, and I think it's the same guy who found a Death Star, who was alerted to one that had been thrown away.
I don't think he has a Death Star.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
The museum's it's an interesting place. Like, he has fan art. fan art, officially licensed things. He has everything essentially.
Yeah,
like
except the Death Star.
And he has like a cantina band that was used for like a Planet Hollywood or like some type of
What do you mean, like a life-size
like
cantina?
life-size cantina band, electronic cantina band.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, he has like a banner that was used to drape a table with Ralph McQuarrie art at the first Star Wars convention. He has the what is it called, the Turkish bootleg Star Wars action figures with that use the calculator as the Death Star gunner control panel. So it's all this random stuff. But the story that happened was that he had what used to be his friend steal from him, and over the course of a couple of years, siphon off hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of collectibles to put on the gray market and the black market for collectors.
Basically, another collector noticed a really rare Boba Fett item in a warehouse in Texas and was like, I think that's actually from Steve's collection, and alerted him, and that's how this whole thing was uncovered.
Yo.
It was like this. I'm sure someone's gonna make some fan film about this this espionage.
These are one-of-a-kind parts. You can't easily sell them.
No, exactly, right? And this is a small circle of high-end collectors. They caught the person, and he is pled guilty and to felony grand theft and faces prison time.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think absolutely like needs to be prosecuted and all of that. I hope the items get back to Steve. That's the question. That's the big question.
What is the law about that? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Somebody out there knows. Let us know.
But Rancho Obi-Wan just want to give a shout out to them because they're great people, and they run a really fun museum. If you're a Star Wars fan and find yourself in the Bay Area,
Has Tessa done a video in their space?
Oh yes.
All right, so
years and years ago.
You can find it in the archives.
Yeah.
Right.
Toward their space. Some casting news for this is big deal for comic book fans. Jeremy, do you know about the New Warriors?
Is that what you led with?
The New Warriors.
You're not going to dive down a level that's really going to get Jeremy's eyes rolling?
You may not know about the New Warriors. They are a Marvel superhero team.
What? I thought the Warriors was like a vigilante, like Mad Max style group of. No?
That's the Warriors.
That's the Warriors.
New Warriors are a Marvel team, like a B-class team with some. It's like, oh well, we own the rights to a bunch of these characters. Let's put them together, and they're now a super team. And one of their fan favorite characters is Squirrel Girl.
Okay.
And they have cast the New Warriors for a TV show.
Next story.
on Freeform with Squirrel Girl, and the fans could not be happier. I think they have cast the AT&T girl.
Yes.
Who's that?
Melania Weintraub, or is that how you say it? Yeah,
She's a comedian. She did a bunch of web shorts, and I think had been on a couple of TV shows.
She's on This Is Us right now.
This Is Us, that's right. But if you've seen the AT&T commercials where they go in the store and she makes those faces, like her personality, I think works perfectly for Squirrel Girl.
Good casting. Squirrel Girl.
All right.
Incredibly powerful Marvel superhero.
You remember
throws squirrels at people.
You remember Banana Man?
No.
It's not Marvel, so maybe you don't know about this.
No, I don't.
This was a show on Nickelodeon, I think. Banana Man. He was a superhero.
All right.
See? I know something you don't know.
All right, we're going to jump down. One of the things that we expect to see at Comic-Con, and I'm just remembering this now, it will be Steven Spielberg will be there. That's a big deal.
At Comic-Con?
Steven Spielberg will be at Comic-Con, and he will be there to show possibly footage, definitely images.
Don't say it, Norm.
Ready Player One.
And I'm not going to be there.
And you're not going to be there.
Man.
But we have the first still image from Ready Player One released. It's on Entertainment Weekly's website, and we got to describe it and also give some hot takes.
Oh, but I got to take this phone call.
Okay.
Right.
Hold on. We're going to pause for a second.
I think we skip this story until Jeremy comes back. And it's I think it's obvious that we go to talk about Stranger Things while he's gone.
Oh my gosh.
Because that's just mean.
Thanks, Jeremy. You know, save me the editing time. We're just gonna show him walking out of the room. He's gonna come back, and
Be
we're
fine.
All right, Stranger Things coming back. They have a premiere date. It is October 1st. Is that right?
October 27th.
October 20. Oh wow, close to Halloween. It makes a lot of sense.
Makes sense.
I think they were clear about that Halloween would be a big part of this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually thought it was going to premiere on Halloween. I mean, it's sort of like, you know, when it comes to Netflix stuff, it doesn't, the premiere date, you know, it means something different. But did you see the new poster art?
No.
Oh, God, it looks incredible. It's basically the four of them riding down the street, an empty street in Hawkins on their bikes. And the clouds are all red. And there's this like kind of character like embedded in the in the clouds. It's beautiful. I'm so excited for this.
Stranger Things also nominated for a bunch of Emmys. So Emmy nominations are out, and the films or the TV shows that are nominated for Best Drama, some fan favorites, Westworld and Stranger Things, along with House of Cards. Come on, that show did not deserve to get nominated this year.
There's a lot of strange nominations.
Remove House of Cards, I'm sorry, and put in Leftovers, because people love the Leftovers.
So we wanted to save the talk about Ready Player One, so we just talked about Stranger Things 2 while you were gone.
This is a fantastic image.
Ready Player One,
Have
yes.
you dissected this image?
No, we haven't. Okay, so describe for people who haven't seen the image. Like, what are the things? There's so many, like, Easter eggs. It's
right. So the image is of the inside of Wade's trailer, which is this sanctuary that he's discovered amongst a bunch of old wrecked cars, which he calls the most sacred thing that you can have in this day and age, in the future, dystopian future, which is privacy.
Sure.
So this is his space, and he's decorated it with newspaper clippings and magazines of the world, which is basically like the front page stories about this game designer who has made the Oasis, which is the VR environment, the metaverse that most of the game actually takes place in. So you see Wade Watts, a much trimmer Wade Watts than in the book.
Yeah. He doesn't get trim in the book until later on.
Exactly.
Right? So he's supposed to be a little schlubby, but, you know.
I'm not surprised by that.
And he's played by Ty Sheridan, who played Cyclops in...
You're kidding me.
In the
Age of Apocalypse.
Age of Apocalypse, which is really funny because he's wearing cycloptic VR glasses.
That's hilarious.
Right?
Wow.
There you go, some Easter egg knowledge. But what he's wearing looks like a power glove on one hand, which has outreach on the other hand.
Not a real power glove, but
right, like
reminiscent
some electronic form-fitting meshed glove.
Right.
That's, I guess, supposed to track his hand movements. And he's wearing, you know, this VR headset looks a lot like that failed LG one, the LG G5 accessory headset. It's
really. What was that? Is something that plugged into your phone?
Plugged into your phone.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But it didn't use your phone as the display.
It's plugged into your phone
Funny.
using its processor. And he's standing on the ground. How did they solve locomotion in this movie? Tell me, Jeremy.
That'll be fun to watch. Like, I wonder if they actually...
I don't think they address it.
Well, they might not go into the technicals, but you'll see him move through the space somehow.
Oh, is that a gurney above him? I see a wheel, and you see like a metal frame.
Well, there's a bike behind him. That's not what you're looking at, but there is a bike that he uses over here to generate electricity in the book. That's there. That's how he warms the space.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I see. Okay, you're talking about the back left corner, in the back
bike.
behind there is exercise bike, but right behind him, do you see that?
The yellow thing.
The orange lift. He could maybe lift himself up because he's wearing like a waist strap.
Yeah.
So maybe he's lifted up and then he's walking in midair.
This is also the cheap, free haptic suit.
Right.
So like in this world, you can upgrade and pay whatever you want to create the most realistic, immersing experience.
We're basically just criticizing production design at this point, right?
I'm not criticizing anything.
Production designer for Ready Player One. How could you not get VR right? The version of VR in the future. I mean, there's so much going on in this picture.
I don't know.
We're joking, of course.
There's so much 80s nostalgia items in this. There's a He-Man and the Masters of the Universe lunchbox.
I didn't see that. I saw the Garbage Pail Kids.
Yeah, the Garbage Pail Kids on the side of the wall. In the book, there's soundproofing everywhere, and you can see him like put all sorts of stuff along the walls for soundproofing. Egg cartons and stuff like that.
The fake newspapers and magazines I always like. You see a fake Business Week, a fake cover of Wired magazine.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
it's good stuff. Good first image.
It is a perfect image to view digitally, to scrutinize.
Yep.
and it's our first glimpse at Ready Player One. It's really happening.
Sign me up.
It's crazy. One final bit of pop culture news, also related to Disney. Disney's confirming that the Tron Light Cycle Power Run roller coaster, the one I think is in Shanghai, is coming to the United States. It's going to replace the Tomorrowland Speedway, which I think was the one that was sponsored by Chevy in the Magic Kingdom. It's not coming to Disneyland.
That was the one you had just gone to.
Yeah,
right.
It was one of the. It was the one that paved the road for the Cars ride in Disneyland.
I am thrilled about this. I haven't been like the Tron movie had its moments.
Yeah.
But it was beautiful, I thought.
Yeah.
And to be in a lightscape like that on a roller coaster, that's going to be perfect.
That's going to be good.
Yeah.
I wish they would replace Autotopia. I never know how to say that in Disneyland. It takes up so much space.
You mean like the go-kart, the one that's on a track?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But whatever.
That could totally be a Tron race type thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, they already have two cars. They have that, and they have the Cars Land in California Adventure. Anyway, let's get to tech news.
Oh my goodness! Boom, de boom, boom, and boop, ba.
All right. We can't go. I mean, as we get closer to September, we're going to have more and more of these Apple rumors. Now, there was some talk last week of like the pricing for a new high-end iPhone. It's a lot of controversy of like, wow, could they really sell a phone for $1,500? Well,
and then Red did.
And then Red has a new phone that they've announced. So yeah, let's talk about that first. Red, the camera makers, and started by the founder of Oakley. Right, so I guess their expertise is optics and sensors.
And a high-end camera maker. Let's be sure that that's super clear.
But they just totally disrupted, digital filmmaking.
I didn't realize how much of a maverick this company was. Like when they announced their first camera, a lot of people said it's faked and that it wouldn't actually ever come to market. But then they actually pulled it off.
And not only did it pull it off, it is a standard now.
Yeah, now it's like...
And I mean, they were ahead of the curve in terms of trying to produce these cameras, these cinema cameras with massive full-frame sensors that could replace film. And now, the Arri Alexas and Sony's, like they all have equivalents. But Red is moving into the smartphone space. So they're making a $1,200 smartphone that they claim, and there's only one picture of this.
And it's only the back.
It's only the back, of course. It has very Red-like industrial design, very aggressive fins and logo.
It looks like a heatsink.
Yeah. The phone's called the Hydrogen One, and it will have a 5.7-inch display that they also call a holographic display.
Yeah.
Now, the CEO of the company said that it's not a lenticular display.
Like the 3DS.
Not like the 3DS, and it's not like the Amazon Fire Phone, and it will probably somewhere in the mix of the two. He says, of course, hyperbolically, that it's something you have to see to believe. I don't know what the experience is supposed to be.
I would settle for a video. Show me a video of what this thing can do.
Right, but what type of content? Like, even if the Amazon Fire Phone worked perfectly, what is the benefit of having this quote-unquote holographic display on a 5.7-inch phone? What are the things, what is the web content? What's the shopping content? What's the video media content that you want to be even popped up a little bit?
And can it capture that content?
Right. If you can capture it, then you have one use case.
Right.
But they said, don't expect this camera to be like our Red cameras. It's going to be a nicer camera than you'll find on a lot of common smartphones. But the big selling point apparently is this screen.
Well, what about for mobile gaming? Could you see like a use of a screen? Like, let's say it can do this like 2D to 3D kind of stuff.
But then you're talking about a game that can be played on one phone.
Yes.
And only a phone that costs $1,200 or $1,600.
I mean,
I said it through gritted teeth.
Yeah.
The way this could work is if it took existing rendered content, right? It takes the information from your graphics engine and it somehow then pops it up. So like the effect of a 3DS, which it works, there's stereo imagery, it looks like it's 3D, but without the low resolution artifact, byproduct of lenticular screen. So a high-res, the 1080p 3DS is the best case scenario I could see for this. That will work with any 3D Android game.
By the way, most people have the 3D turned off on the 3DS.
That's right.
So odd.
Yeah.
But intriguing. Love to see it. Always
intriguing.
Always want to see new display technologies.
Yeah, and so in terms of technologies going in phones, the new rumor on the Apple side is that not only will it use an OLED screen and maybe have facial recognition and maybe get rid of Touch ID, all rumors to be clear, the latest rumor is that it will have a world-facing 3D laser sensor for AR and autofocus.
Lasers
for
are cool.
Depth sensing. Now, we know about how depth sensing works today, right? You can have two cameras, and you can combine stereo imagery and do some analysis there. You can have an infrared camera, what like the Tango uses. You can even use just one camera with AR kit. Having a laser-based emitter receiver system for room scanning and for AR, I don't know. I can't speak to whether that is more effective, is reasonable, what the pitfalls or advantages may be. But I think the rumor, what I want to believe about this rumor is that Apple is thinking heavily about inside-out tracking and scanning.
Yeah, and that the AR kit is just prelude to something bigger.
Yes, and whatever technology they may put in this phone, and that if it enhances room scanning, then it's data and inside-out algorithm refining that they want on their millions, tens of millions of phones that will be sold this year, next year, to refine whatever algorithms they're going to put on their AR device.
So this is moving towards something I think could potentially be interesting. Imagine a scenario where you have an IR sensor, maybe even a radar sensor, integrated with the visible sensor. And if you were able to combine all three of those into one device, and they make radar systems that are small enough to be phone sized and maybe tablet sized right now, and then actually have that be for AR, then you'd have a wider field of view than the visible spectrum. And if you could overlay that information on top of each other, that's true AR. We're using novel sensors that exist for that purpose. And if this is a step in that direction, holy cow, am I excited about it.
I'm excited by what I've seen of ARKit already. Just devs playing with the SDK. Have you seen some of these videos?
Yeah.
They've got people setting up portals in their office to sporting events. They walk through a door, and there it is. They are
putting hot dogs on the side of airplanes, on airplane wings.
Like pretty amazing things. Like there's somebody who shot somebody like an augmented reality dancer on their floor, turned around, walked upstairs, went up to a balcony, and looked over the balcony, and they saw the dancer downstairs on the floor.
Right, that's how accurate, because it's combining not only the visual data, but also accelerometer data, GPS data. It's all sensor fusion.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
like the video of someone having an avatar of someone drawing on the floor in like painting in VR, and then it turned out that was a Vive user painting with tilt brush or something
In real time.
In real time,
That was wicked.
And then that tells me that you're going to have these great asymmetrical combinations of AR and VR, where people can be playing Lone Echo in VR, and then in AR, I can see a miniature representation of the playfield and people and watching the VR sports or watching Rocket League on my table. Scale doesn't matter. We can totally futz with that.
Is that AR anymore? That feels so much like mixed reality to me because
It's the same thing.
Is it?
Yeah, I was thinking this is going to make a whole new world for production. For making real time cartoons or television sequences that can be produced in real time without needing any post.
And it's the next step for green screen.
Right.
It's spatial green screen. The laser sensor that's rumored to be in the new iPhone is what the reports are calling a VCSEL sensor, a vertical cavity surface emitting laser. And that's most commonly, it's the type of system that's used for laser mice. So maybe you'll be able to turn your phone into a magic mouse. Put it on a table.
Yeah.
I think what's going to come, though, is the laser systems that are in cars now, which are becoming... We're getting to the point where they're going to become ubiquitous, and the price of those are going to drop. Are we going to get to the point where the laser spatial systems that are in cars, which are much more precise than the mice items and have a wider field of view, are they going to get cheap enough to be in a phone? Then we really got something pretty amazing where it can image the entire world quickly.
Elon Musk has said that those systems are a stopgap, that really the future is optical. And all you need is just enough optical understanding of the real world.
Yeah, but that takes a lot of processing power that I'm not sure.
Yeah.
we're at yet.
Right.
We're going to go through the next couple news stories relatively quickly. On the PC building side.
Oh, wait. We should try something first.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we have a demo for you because we're talking about AR.
Okay.
Jeremy has a new app from Microsoft.
Yeah.
that he wants to share.
Have you seen this Seeing Eye
I have
Microsoft app? This is wicked.
All right.
All right. So it's a free app. I'm going to point this
It's
at
on
you.
iOS?
Yeah. And
0 faces. 1 face near left edge 3 feet
I'm
away.
going to take a picture of you. Listen to what it
1
says.
face processing. 27-year-old man with black hair wearing glasses looking neutral.
And that's my new Twitter bio.
So Jeremy took a picture of me and it pegged me at 38, which is close.
Yeah, I'm much older than 27. I wish.
49-year-old man.
Oh,
with
come
black hair,
on.
beard wearing glasses.
Dude, it thinks I'm 59.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's
I'm
not,
so
it's
sorry.
not exactly right about it. But this is an amazing app. Like, and you can do scenes too. Like,
Be careful who you use that on.
take
Just saying.
you know, like you can do your left.
No people could
it's-
be detected.
Yeah, well, you get the idea. But it does like a scene, so you can point it at a table and tell you what's on the table.
Hot dog, not hot dog.
No, but
That's what this is.
I'm pretty impressed with how quickly it pulled out
Yeah.
items because when he did a scene earlier, it picked out the laptop, it picked out
And this
like
is still
different.
sending information to the cloud and
Yeah,
back.
it's got to be.
And that is fast then. Mm-hmm. I wonder if, does it display the text of what it thinks or is it reading?
It will display text if you're on mute.
Okay. So it's not like they're artificially slowing down, like trying to compensate for the processing time by reading slower with the text to voice.
Did they pitch this as an accessibility app?
It is. It's a for the what is it? Seeing impaired. Is that how you? Was that what I would say?
Great.
It does barcode scanning and it can look at read documents. It's an amazing
What are its
lab.
limitations? Can it? What happens if you try Creepy Fig? Come on, come on, Creepy Fig.
See beta.
Let's see.
All right.
You
Processing. It seems to be wall. Indoor.
It news. It's
No,
almost
it's
always
just
the
the wall.
Wall
It-
indoor.
all right.
Completely ignored the creepy fig as it
It's like,
should.
I didn't do a person. I can do person.
doesn't seem like anything to me.
No people could be detected.
That's exactly it.
Doesn't seem like anything to
that's
me.
Exactly it.
Yeah, that's right. Microsoft, correct.
That's amazing. I wonder if this is how you're going to trick robots. If you wear the camouflage suits and the robots are like, I don't see anything here. Wall. White wall.
It's creepy fig, man.
White wall. That's really cool. And that's all cloud computed.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously with their computer vision neural networks, and they've been training this, I bet. Is there a way to send correction information if you want to say, no, this is actually a 35-year-old man, not with neutral face, wearing glasses.
But you know how like Google Glass and everybody is shying away from doing actual people detection?
Mm-hmm.
This does that. Like I can take 3 pictures of you, tell it your name, and then
Yeah.
every time it sees you, it'll just say Norman Chan 3 feet away.
Well, we know that technology has existed for
Oh,
a while in
absolutely.
photos. Yeah.
But companies have been afraid
Yeah.
to actually employ it.
And once that gets built into an AR, MR type headset display, that is exactly what people want. Because then if you tie that to your Facebook account, tie that to your email account, you have unread emails from this person. Oh, they shared 4 photos. Here are the names of their 3 children as they've listed in Facebook. So you have all the information. It's real augmenting of your reality and your interactions. Okay, some quick PC news. Want to give a teaser. We actually did a PC build that we're going to be releasing closer to the end of this month, where we built our first Ryzen PC.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How many cores?
8 cores.
Oh, pretty good.
Pretty good. It's a Ryzen 1700X based PC. It's built, but we are actually going to be testing the video encoding and more CPU intensive tasks. So one of our producers is going to be working on that for a little bit. But 8 cores is apparently old news these days because Intel came back. They're going to have their massive 16 core system, 32 core system. AMD also has Threadripper that's coming out, and there are some details about that. It's also based on the Zen architecture. These are Threadripper 1920X and 1950X CPUs, 12 or 16 cores, 32 threads, 4 gigahertz at turbo, $1,000 CPUs.
Wow.
But think about 2 years ago,
$1,000 and less. That's actually pretty good compared to Intel.
Yeah. You couldn't get a 8-core CPU on desktop side without spending $1,000. Now you can get twice that on AMD and potentially Intel side.
Do you have to upgrade everything else? I mean, we assume new motherboard, but like
Motherboard.
RAM too?
They're all DDR4 now, so DDR4 is gonna be fine.
That's fine.
Yeah. So, but it will need a new chipset.
Isn't DDR5 a thing now?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. I thought I read that. All right.
This is kind of a weird and funny story. There was a prison escape in South Carolina, and the prisoner was able to use wire cutters and other tools, like a mobile phone, that while in prison, that were dropped in by drone.
Yeah, drones have been dropping drugs and all kinds of things in the prisons.
Is that insane?
Yeah, I want to know how that's done. I really do. Like, the drones, I assume the drones aren't so low that they can be seen. They've got to be so high that the prisoners know they're there, but the guards wouldn't notice. And then they drop them. They try to drop them. They have to count for air. I mean, how are they targeting the ground?
So, which drone do they know? Or they don't know because they didn't catch the drone.
They did not catch the drone.
They caught the person.
Yeah. They caught the person. The good news is they caught the person who escaped. But when they found the person had cell phones, guns, cash, and this wasn't the first time this person had escaped either. So definitely has contacts on the outside getting them out. But all sorts of just interesting use of technology. Like, how does the prison system compensate for drones? I know there are a bunch of companies that have systems to take down drones, but drone detection.
I mean,
right?
you would think some sort of radar system would be able to identify them.
Yeah.
Even a really sensitive microphone, pointed up in the sky.
Right.
But they would pick up all sorts of stuff, like birds and
but
stuff.
you filter. You get a computer to filter for you. You don't sit there with the headphones on.
I mean, you can get 16 cores for $1,000 less now.
Oh, this laser tag game.
All right, tell me about this laser tag. Yes, we
okay,
are.
so check it out. This is where did I see this? IGN. Dude, I don't know if this is a good idea. All right, what is the name of the game? The headline was laser tag redefined. So of course I clicked it.
Recoil.
Yeah, thank you. So it's Recoil, and it is a. So you remember laser tag? You get a couple of guns. You wear a thing on your waist, and if one of your friends shoots that thing,
or on your chest, like you wear a sensor.
Well, yeah, that would be a nice one. You can go to laser tag, location-based places, and that's what happens. You shoot the various sensors. I'm not sure what detects the shots on this, but it basically turns your entire neighborhood into a battleground. You set down a Wi-Fi, it's not an access point, but it's like a transmitter receiver thing that you put in the middle of your battleground, and then like the base thing comes with these two pistols, and you walk out and you go explore your neighborhood as a battleground. But then it uses your phone to give you these waypoints that you need to go to, and you can also buy a grenade so that if you toss the grenade, it like explodes.
But it's still laser based. We're still talking about the fundamental system of having plastic toys.
It can't just be laser based.
Emitting lasers for hit detection.
Yeah.
But it's combining that with some type of augmented reality, room scanning, environment scanning to take advantage of your location.
I don't know about all that. I think it might just be just like a GPS based. So it's meant to be played outdoors and between houses and all this stuff. You can buy a machine gun and all this different gear, and it just seems like, I'm not sure if in this day and age you want to see a bunch of kids running around your neighborhood with guns, shooting at each other.
Yeah.
I think that could probably scare somebody who's not in touch.
I mean, that's why the images of these are all very heavy orange tip, like splattered orange in the front. And what caught my eye is that the render of the rifle they have has a phone attachment on the side. It's as if you're looking at the phone to get your augmented reality data.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the base station is going to drop in power-ups or something.
Yeah, I think that there is an element of that. And it's all, and you wear earphones or earbuds, so you get the sound of the battlefield, and you get location awareness of where your enemies are and your friends. It looks pretty well done. I mean, it's a toy that I would like to try.
The 40th trending video on YouTube right now.
What's that?
Is a breakthrough in artificial intelligence. Google DeepMind. Just learn to walk.
This is hilarious. This is good stuff. You've seen this?
Yes.
So they created three different They created three different models. One is humanoid. One is almost like it's an animal. It's 3 or 4 feet, and the other one is, what is it? Just legs. And they didn't teach it how to walk. They just told it to go from here to here. They incentivized it to move, and I guess that there is some element of muscles and bones that it understood, but then it just had to learn how to walk. And it does. And it doesn't only walk. It jumps. It leaps up to get to a higher level. It jumps over crevices. And it's not always successful, but it got better and better. And the humanoid walking is hilarious. It's just the arms.
Why? Yeah, what are the arms?
Doing this
It looks like totally realistic battle simulator. If you've ever played that game, the armies walking around. Oh, this is hilarious walking around.
Yeah, and it ducks under things. The four-legged creature, I want to say spider, but it's only 4 legs. It's the best at jumping. But it like uses its momentum, It's like it reaches its front arms out and all this stuff that it learned how to do all on its own.
Truly the age of the future. You know what? It's going to convince me more than anything else that we're in the future. Sideways elevators.
Oh, Willy Wonka.
What?
This is not just Willy Wonka, the turbo lift. One of the hallmark attributes of the turbo lift, as seen in Star Trek Next Generation, you should know, is that they go sideways as well.
No, because the lights they always go up and down.
They go sideways.
The lights do?
I don't think the lights do, but if you look at a blueprint of the Enterprise D, it needs to go sideways as well. And officially, from the technical manual, it is described as both a vertical and horizontal elevator.
But they always go to different decks. They never stay on the same deck.
But to get to engineering is not on the same axes.
Is that right?
Yeah, it needs to go left and right.
How about that?
Yeah. So there is a startup now that has developed a elevator that moves not just vertically, but also sideways. And this isn't to move across a really wide building, but really this is to get the elevators out of the way so you can have many, many more elevators on one track.
Oh, this
on
is
a
good.
really tall building.
That's
so you're
a
not
good idea.
waiting for the elevators to go nook into the side and pop out and get to you, and then the algorithms will figure out the best operations. Yeah. And for the really massively tall buildings.
So the doors, like I guess the thresholds where you enter and exit would not be on an elevator shaft. They would be off to the side. Like that would be a parking space. And then they would enter the shaft to actually move.
Yeah. The doorways for the users will, I assume, be the same, but the elevators themselves will be smarter and will not be just on one quarter. And the way they're doing it actually is almost like the way a train track can adjust. There will be like a rotating system to move the rails from vertical to horizontal. Yeah, very neat. And of course, I don't know, did we talk about this last week? The first Tesla 3, Model 3?
I don't think you guys did.
Maybe we said it was coming, but
It's off the line.
It's off the line.
That's it.
Looks good.
There's a photo.
So
People have seen the one in the wild, maybe one for crash testing purposes.
It's Elon's.
yeah, Elon got the first one, right?
Yeah.
Any FOMO with the Bolt and
What's FOMO?
fear of missing out?
No, actually. I'm still in because I want to see the back end. I want to see I don't know what they call it because I've never had a Tesla before, but there's a tool that you use and you choose all your options and you can see the back end thing. And I'll go through that process, but I'm really happy with the Bolt, to be honest with you. And it's quite a bit shorter than the Model 3. It's over almost 2 feet shorter.
And I guess that's better given San Francisco.
Yeah, it's quite good, especially getting in my parking space. So I don't know. We'll see.
All right, before we move on to our next segment, I want to thank the other sponsor of This Is Only a Test, and that's Procurify. Did you know that Facebook and Google reportedly paid close to $100 million in fake invoices for a period of 2 years? How could this happen to two of the world's largest organizations? Well, because invoice and purchasing fraud plague companies of all sizes, and no one's immune to it. Procurify helps us solve that. It works with hundreds of companies across the world to track and control the spending. Whether you're a startup and worried about your burn rate, a small company that wants a streamlined purchasing process, or a mid-sized company that wants to end wasted spend, Procurify gives your teams an easy way to control organizational spend with features that will help them make the right decisions when they need it. It's the easiest way to get your team on the same page. Get full visibility and control over your spending and transform your spend culture by signing up for a free 5-day trial today at procurify.com/test. That's procurify.com/test. And thank them for sponsoring this week's episode.
I'm a pinball nerd. Pin. Just the right point. Finally, pinball.
that makes me very happy.
I just want to tell you guys that the Star Wars pinball machine that was announced maybe a month ago
Stern?
has finally been revealed, and there's at least an hour. There's probably a 2-hour-long video of people playing the game.
Wait. Of people in the public or Stern employees?
Both.
Where is it?
Well, no, I mean there's a famous there's a popular pinball streamer who got access to the machine at Stern and went there and played with Stern employees. Jack Danger is the channel. That's the guy who hosts it. Anyway, you can find it on YouTube and elsewhere. It looks great. You can play as characters from the game, so you choose if you want to be Luke or Leia or R2-D2 or Han, I want to say.
What does that mean, choose?
You play as one of those guys, and then you have to, conquer all these different objectives. And depending on who you play as, it already accomplishes like a certain set of them, and it probably affects the rules in some way. But it's very fast. It's a fast game, and the rules are great. The sound seems like it might be the best Stern has ever done, and it has a big TV in the back glass.
You were concerned about the art on this, weren't you?
Yeah, because it has a photoshopped look from afar, but if you get close enough, you can actually see it may have been photoshopped, but then hand-drawn.
So which version? Because there were a couple of different backgrounds.
This was the Pro, so the low-end one.
The low-end one, is that the one with Vader and
It's the mishmash.
Oh, okay. It's the most cluttered one.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. I'm looking at images of them now. The collector's edition that shows it inside the Millennium Falcon cockpit, that one is my favorite, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much is this pinball machine?
Well, it's, I think, $5,200 for the Pro, and then another like $1,500 for the next one up.
Well, what's the difference? What would be the difference aside from the art?
The Death Star actually opens up and explodes, so there's a big LED flasher inside that go when you blow up the Death Star in the expensive one, as well as a ramp where balls shoot through the Death Star.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That's worth it.
$1,500.
And
I think no one's seen it yet, but I believe the ball actually gets thrown up into the Death Star somehow. So that's interesting. But for me, if I'm going to operate it, which I am on location, the Pro is the only one that makes sense.
Because it's cheaper.
Cheaper, less to maintain.
Is there
less to break?
Is it true that one has a Millennium Falcon, and the other one does not have the Millennium Falcon?
Yes.
Oh, paying $1,500 just so you have a Millennium Falcon inside your pinball machine.
And we did a build. It's not up yet, but we did a build of the Millennium Falcon, and I was thinking about putting that in the pinball machine, but it's way too fragile. There's no way. If a pinball hit that, forget it.
Yeah, I mean, is that Millennium Falcon that's in the collector's edition, is that functional or is that just aesthetic?
No, it's just aesthetic.
Oh, there are plenty of Millennium Falcons you could buy that are more sturdy.
It's lit, it's got lighting, and people have modified that kind of thing. But yeah, you're right. People modify.
Okay, I didn't know if that was like a gameplay.
No, it doesn't move.
If I see it at D23,
oh, you might.
If I will let you know, and I cannot promise I will not be tempted to pick one up.
Pick it up.
Oh my god,
pick it up. I'd be curious to hear what Frank
It's more
thinks.
important. Just play it.
When is it shipping?
Well, it's shipping now, actually.
What?
Yeah, the Pro is. Another month for the one with the Falcon.
So when are you getting yours?
Hopefully in a week or two.
Oh my
Wow.
god. This is instant gratification.
Then you don't need to pick one up. Just wait a week.
Well, Jeremy's going to operate it, which means I have to go to a place and put the quarters in.
Just $1.
Just 4 quarters in.
Yeah.
You're talking about $5,200 versus $1.
This is true. This is not how the brain works.
Okay.
So I just want to tell you, it looks good. Like I was worried but the gameplay looks substantial. The sounds are good. The graphics are good. Excited to play it.
Wow.
Now it's time for a moment of science.
You know what you should add to that pinball machine?
Oh.
Thermal detonator.
Why is that?
Well, why not? We have a metal
'Cause we
thermal.
have one?
We have one.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you can. Let's say you have a Prius and you're just driving through the up the Oregon coast like you do with your Prius. You get into an accident with one of those trucks carrying fish, and the fish get on your car. It's a nightmare that so many people have to deal with. But in this case, the fish happen to be hagfish, which are more like eels than anything else. They're not technically eels. This happened a few days ago and sort of taken the science Twitter by storm. The thousands of pounds of hagfish fell on this car and totally ruined it. But what happened was amazing is when they came down on the car, they exhibited their stress response. And when hagfish are under stress, they release slime.
Gross.
And not just a little bit of slime. A hagfish, which is maybe like, a foot long, maybe 2 feet at most.
I thought this was a long exposure.
No.
This is slime.
This is slime.
Wow.
A hagfish about a foot or two in length can quickly, within the order of a few seconds, drop on the order of 5 pounds of slime.
What?
So what crushed this car wasn't necessarily just the fish itself. It was the slime they generated as the stress. The slime is kind of an amazing substance, too. There's a great blog post about it from the science communicator David Schiffman, who writes for about marine life. And basically, they're scavengers of the sea. And so when they come across a carcass, they cover it with this slime to basically create their territory so no other fish eats it. So they generate it really quickly. And the slime is like slimier than slime. It's sort of like it's being studied as a prototypical viscous compound. The picture is sort of amazing of the damage to this Prius, all from slime. And I'll put a link to some videos about how much slime that these things generate. And one of the biggest difficulties they have, this is, by the way, the hagfish is an Asian delicacy, especially in Korea. One of the problems they have is that when they farm hagfish, is that if they get stressed, they produce this slime, and they can produce so much that they suffocate the entire farm.
Oh my God.
So they have to kind of come up a skimming system to remove all of the slime that's generated.
It looks like eel. They look
like eels.
They look a little gross.
They are not technically eels.
So evolutionarily speaking, these are very low stress fish.
Yeah, because they're sort of sea scavengers. They probably goes back about 300 million years ago when these first appeared. They're probably linked to some early vertebrates, but like how they're different from eels gets kind of technical. 2 more. So I think in the past on this podcast, we've talked about DNA as actually data storage. Like, what if we could use those A, C, T's, and G's as data storage? And we've talked a lot about CRISPR on this, where we can go in and edit DNA. So there's this really famous video by this guy, Edward Muybridge, of a horse galloping. Yeah. And it was one of the first videos to demonstrate that the horse didn't have all 4 of its feet on the ground at the same time. So researchers at Harvard basically encoded that and then used CRISPR to put that into a DNA and then tried to read the bits out and reconstruct it. And they were able to do so with 90% accuracy.
Wow.
So I have an image here on my screen. I'll put it in the show notes. Jeremy can see. This is the reconstructed GIF from DNA. And it looks shockingly like it. So
DNA needs better error detection.
So it's the problem with this is the technique to insert the data in. Like, how precise is that data insertion? Because it has to go into these really specific spots.
You're saying Superman Man of Steel was based on fact. The genetic code of entire Kryptonian people hidden in the DNA of one person.
I feel like this is going to be a plot of a Keanu Reeves movie soon.
Okay.
Well, maybe like Keanu Reeves movie like 20 years ago. This feels like Johnny Mnemonic to me, like where they inserted like code inside of him. Isn't that the plot of that movie?
That's also the plot of The Matrix.
Oh yeah.
What species DNA did they use? Do you know?
I don't know. I think it's in the paper.
Fascinating.
It was E. coli.
Yeah.
E. coli is really well studied and known as bacterial. Piece. One more story, and this one is weird. Chinese scientists were able to teleport a photon from the ground up into the atmosphere.
Dude, what? What are you talking about?
So there's in quantum mechanics, there's something called quantum entanglement, where you don't have to be next to each other, physically located next to each other, to actually create interactions between particles. And so what they're able to do is not actually transport an actual physical thing from point A to point B. They're able to transmit the state of one piece of matter, one sort of item here on Earth, to another piece that was up in the upper atmosphere almost instantaneously.
But they did have another piece somewhere out there monitoring and being a beacon. And it transported faster than the speed of light?
No. Not in this case. That was something that happened at CERN and related to a piece in Italy, and there were some problems with the detector. They actually had wires crossed in their measurements, so
no.
it wasn't fully plugged in, and so they got the wrong data.
So you're saying it traveled at the speed of light?
Yes, because this was a photon, I believe. So
that's
yes.
interesting. Not that anything you say here isn't interesting.
I'll link to a much larger article about this, but quantum entanglement's super fascinating, and I'll get into it on a future podcast. That's it for me. Because we have
what about the iceberg?
Oh yeah, we're fucked. Here's a we're fucked
We're
news.
the lead.
So the Larson. Oh yeah, here we go. Hey, I got my diagram of Antarctica back.
Oh no!
And this sort of red line I've drawn on this sheet that showed where the crack was proceeding along the Larsen letter C shelf has reached the ocean, and a trillion-ton iceberg has broken off into the sea. Now, this is bad on a lot of levels because now seawater could potentially get in behind this largest iceberg ever and accelerate the melting of glaciers there. We sort of don't know where it's going to go. Now it's out in open water. It's not really, it's far. It's still right there. But depending on how far it goes will dictate how much seawater is able to come up and start melting those glaciers in behind. It could even refreeze in that place. But now that this crack is broken through and the crack is really big, they think that's always going to be a big structural weak point. They're much more concerned about there is actually a slimmer of good news. The crack didn't actually go as far as they thought. It actually cut out to the water quicker than they thought. If it had gone farther, they thought the whole shelf would have destabilized more. So they're going to be monitoring how stable that shelf is, because if that shelf falls, then we're going to have some significant sea level rise.
Yeah.
Okay. Good story to end on.
When you say monitor, are there scientists near,
There are scientists there.
near it in Antarctica?
Yeah.
Wow.
They're actively there.
tons.
There's my favorite group of scientists that are down there are from the UK. They run a project called Project Midas, and they actually blog every few days from down there with live updates, so you can sort of get information right from the source.
The VR Minute. Virtual reality this week.
All right. Wow. Some big news this week. Summer of Oculus, which is the name for their sale, piggyback, I guess, on the Steam sale. Not only are there new games coming out, big price drop. So the Rift and Touch were price dropped from $800 as separate SKUs to a single bundle for $600 back in GDC, March. We're not 4 months after that, and now there is another permanent price cut to $500.
$499.
$499. But for this sale, it's gone now down to $400 for limited time, and Amazon was offering at one point $400 plus an $100 Amazon gift card for the Rift. That is
$300 for Rift and Touch.
for Rift and Touch. That is insane.
That's pretty insane.
So I'm going to pretend to be anonymous Twitter person reaching out to Jeremy. So Jeremy, should I get the Rift or the Vive at this point?
You know,
If you had been waiting for so long,
the thing is, like, there are reasons to get the Vive. Of
course.
And you have to decide for yourself if it's worth that money. Because it's a lot of money now. There's a big difference.
Right.
So, up to you.
and I would also say if you were to get the Vive, I would highly encourage getting the deluxe audio strap.
Yes.
And that's another $100.
Exactly.
Like,
so,
HTC, come on, bundle the deluxe audio strap with the Vive. Make that more compelling.
Thankfully, Oculus is doing this. A lot of people are now getting the Rift. There's been an influx of users this week that developers have reported.
Yeah.
And that we've seen even in Echo Arena, I think, already.
Yeah.
Do you feel hosed a little bit at all? Like, we
No.
paid almost double this,
Dude,
right?
I paid for every developer kit. I paid out of the gate for every VR headset. I'm on board.
I think this is a case where, as a community, like, there are definitely people who bought it maybe 2 weeks ago who want to get price match. Completely understand. You should return it and get a price match. Take advantage of this new deal. If you bought it at the $600 price point, you should be. That was a great time to jump in. Titles, software was getting good.
Yeah.
If you bought it at the $800 price point, I'm happy. I think that's what being an early adopter is about, and I'm more than happy that more people are joining the community, that I have more people to play with in these multiplayer social games, and that we're not just vindicated but validated because the response from people, the new users, is that they didn't know how good VR was. So many skeptics were from people. Skepticism were coming from people who had not used this caliber of VR technology with motion controls. That maybe had used Google Cardboard, and a lot of problem is the marketing. People calling all this stuff VR when there's definitely a clear difference between the headset, the smartphone mounted headsets, and the computer tethered, motion controlled, full positionally tracked headsets.
Is any part of you worried about these price cuts as a sign of desperation at all?
I don't think I'm as worried. I don't think at all, because I think Facebook's in it for the long term, and I think the money they've put into software, it shows that. I think the only worry I had was that, is this like Apple or more cellular networks reducing the prices and putting out more deals for iPhones a month or two before the new iPhone comes out? And is this a sign of a new headset coming out from Oculus? And I'm less worried about that now, given the new news story that came out, I think was it TechCrunch or Bloomberg, that Oculus, their next product will probably not be a Rift 2. The next one that consumers will see will be a new standalone VR headset. And now, are you afraid because that's standalone because that might replace the Rift? But what it sounds like, based on Oculus official notes, is that they're working on a spectrum of standalone devices, including low-end devices. And I think this is probably going to be a low-end entry-level Gear VR replacement, not even the Santa Cruz prototype we saw at Oculus Connect.
So a Gear VR replacement meaning like a built-in display computer.
And computer, yeah.
But no tracking, no positional tracking.
I don't know, but if it's going to be, according to this Bloomberg report of it being $200 wireless headset,
that's cheap.
I can't see positional tracking being put into that. And Oculus has said they're working on a spectrum of standalone headsets. So that could include a $200 Gear VR replacement that you don't use your phone, and also a more expensive one with positional tracking, with better sensors and better computational power. Regardless, they put money into Gear VR titles too.
Yeah.
In Oculus on the mobile side, and those are separate teams. So lowering the price on the desktop side, great, and then increasing and then creating a new lower entry price point for on the mobile side, also great.
I was concerned about the future of Oculus after the lawsuit. And, when they had to realize that, okay, buying Oculus was not the price we thought it was actually $500 million more. But they didn't have to do this sale. This is a voluntary thing that, in retrospect, having had the lawsuit problems, they could have said, let's not drop the price. Let's try to make some of this money back. But they're doing it. And I'm encouraged by this. I'm with Norm. I think this is a clear sign that they are long-term thinking.
And also, the other feedback that people have been really vocal about is that not only is the price lower, that's great, but also their experiences are getting better with lower end entry level computer hardware. So people with a 970, with a 1060 are having really good VR experiences on these games, and don't need to invest in a 1080 or 1070.
Yeah, I'm running a 980 happily.
Let's talk about some of the software that's come out.
I don't know about this Medium update. What did they add?
So there's a 1.2 Medium update, Oculus Medium, and they are finally going to have some form of social in Medium. Not full collaborative sculpting, but at least two people inside the same space I can watch in VR another person sculpting in real time, which is useful.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, could you imagine doing that with Frank and actually recording in there?
Totally.
Oh, that's an interesting model.
Should we talk about blocks? That's not on here.
Oh yeah, it was somewhere. Yeah, Google released an update to Tilt Brush.
No, it's not. It's a whole new app.
Hold on, I gotta go back. Can we get an Inception sound? This is still in the VR minute. I apologize. I was mistaken. In the photo for Ready Player One, it appears what Wade is standing on is a treadmill.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like so he can walk in one direction.
Maybe it's an omnidirectional treadmill.
Were you looking at this and you just figured
did
this
it
out?
just occur to you?
Yes. That is indeed a treadmill.
Inside Norm's mind.
That's a weird-looking
He's like
treadmill.
always tracking through what he said.
All right.
That's amazing.
There you go. Do I have to play the Inception sound again?
No, the Inception happens one direction.
Okay.
All right,
So
so-
Blocks. It's a free app. It's a free artistic app from Google, and it you can import your Blocks models into Tilt Brush. You can export and import, but it's not an extension.
Can you print out a blocks?
You mean like export like
Yeah.
an STL or something? That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know how you. That would be pretty cool because you can do that in Medium. I know that people have done that, but Blocks is cool. It's very stripped down. You know, it doesn't let you do a whole lot with good reason. But then again, I mean, there's some depth there. But it's really good at doing like 3D pixel art. My favorite thing is this grid system so that you can align things, thank God. I wish that was actually a little more refined. I wish there was better snapping. Like even if I had the grid system turned off, I wish that edges would snap better. And I wish that the grid system could be better calibrated so that you could snap at various distances. But it's neat. It's I got in there and we have a segment on the new projections.
Yeah,
It's already
about
live,
blocks.
so you can see that on tested.com.
Can also really Inception back just to the last conversation. There's new light. There's some clarification on the new Oculus bundle.
Oh, good.
So
Wait, the $400 bundle?
the $500.
It's $400 now.
Yes. The $400 on sale bundle
Yeah.
is slightly different than the quote unquote bundle that was $600.
Really?
The $600 bundle was still 2 SKUs. You got a package that had the Rift and then a package that had the Touch.
Yeah.
The new one is one box, and what's different is that you don't get the Xbox controller.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so Brendan Arib, the head of PCVR at Oculus, previous CEO, said that the reason they had released this is that they had already always planned for one box without the Xbox controller. They finished their deal with Microsoft, but because the 2 SKU bundle sold out sooner than they anticipated, that's why they released this new $500, now $400 limited time one box bundle without the Xbox controller.
I rarely played the games that
don't.
involve the.
Yeah.
Well, Eve Valkyrie was like the first big one. Like it was the killer app, and so they needed the Xbox controller for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But not anymore.
Yep. Yeah. And who uses the Oculus Remote?
Oh, I do.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
What? What do you use it for?
I don't know. Sometimes it's just convenient.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like with the Disney app and things like that. The things that don't require a whole lot of interaction.
But the touch controllers can do the same thing.
Yeah, but they're like over there. I gotta strap them on. It's just like,
Okay.
All right.
All right. Echo Arena. It's the beta is still going on right now. They extended it from this weekend to next week
yeah, I wonder why.
because it's so popular.
No.
No?
I think they extended because it was so buggy. Oh. Keeping it real, it's a beta, and they have a very limited time frame to get things right.
Yeah.
And they wanted to get parties in there that weekend, but they couldn't even get to it. As far as I know, like as of 2 days, I didn't actually play yesterday, but I've been trying to play every day. A couple days ago, they still weren't in there. They've been trying to get even just skill-based matchmaking to be working, and that's not there yet. So yeah, some issues with connectivity. That they are trying to solve is their priority.
How good have people gotten already? Because I haven't played in this beta at all.
I commented to people are getting good at this game. Like you can join a match and everybody knows what they're doing, which is a wonderful thing. Of course, without the skill-based matchmaking in there, it's a crapshoot, and oftentimes you'll get somebody playing their first game, and then you bring them up to speed. Sometimes you get people in there that just fly around like they're not even playing the game.
That's kind of what I did one of my last ones because I want to play with it's a beta. I want to play with the locomotion. And
No,
stuff.
I don't mean they're flying around in the lobby. I mean they join a match and they just fly around. But it's still every time I get in there, it's invigorating, and I think I'm losing a little bit of weight.
Wow. Oh, I'm only putting on weight, so I need to get back in Echo Arena.
Did we get some pricing on this game yet?
Yes, they announced that there are going to be 2 SKUs. So there's Lone Echo, the single player game, for $40, and then Echo Arena, the multiplayer game, for $20. But for the first 3 months, Intel is sponsoring, and it will be free forever for you if you buy it in the first 3 months for $0.
Add it to your account.
Add it to your account.
Yeah, and 2 things about that. One, if you buy Lone Echo, you get Echo Arena.
What?
Yeah, so it's a part of that. It
So
says
the $40 gets you both
yeah, so
forever?
right. So even if you buy Lone Echo later, you get both. According to the release, it said
Oh.
it will always come with lone echo.
Oh, that's
Oh.
great.
But
Wow.
also, I think more importantly,
There's no reason not to get the single player. I mean, unless it's not a good game.
well, I mean, the first 3 months, try the multiplayer. It's free.
Yes, yeah.
But
And-
the other thing is, it seems like available to Vive users for free.
Oh,
And there are a substantial number of Revive users in Echo Arena playing the game already.
that's awesome.
And there's always been, since they launched their Discord, a channel for Vive users. So while they don't officially support it, they're allowing people to have those conversations and helping where they can. And there's, from what we can tell, Vive users are on board for free, which is a wonderful thing for this community.
That's great.
Yeah.
One more bit of serious topic, because I know you've been using Echo Arena, for, playing the beta for a while, you and Gunther. Have you experienced any type of harassment, discomfort, things going on?
I mean, I've seen some kids harassed a little bit. Now, granted, it's questionable whether or not you should be letting your kids in multiplayer, environments to begin with, especially if they're quite young. But
We've seen that kind of stuff in Rec Room. Is
Yeah,
it that
exactly,
different? Is it
exactly.
very similar?
well,
like
Rec
people-
Room's the worst. I mean, to be honest, that I've seen. And it's cool if you go in there with your kid, or if you're monitoring it, then that's one thing. But it seems to me like a lot of people are just letting their kids roam free in there, and it can, like, the kids don't always behave in a way that gets the best responses from other adults. But I've also seen adults, be quite rude. But there was a story that someone brought to our attention on the subreddit where someone was sexually harassed.
Yes, and it's something that I think I know the developers have thought about it.
Yeah.
And they're going to implement tools to ghost players and make them disappear from your server. But it's definitely the first example that's really resonant because of how great the IK is in Lineco.
Yeah.
And
So what? I mean, I guess maybe this is gonna sound dumb, but like, what does that mean in
it's
VR?
pretty explicit. So you can
It's
read
like-
the post.
it's like
the people
moving
getting
your
in
hand.
your physical space.
Got it.
And while
Got
they,
it. Got it.
While they can't control your actual your avatar, you can't control their avatar either, and they can get into your physical space, in your face, and it's because of the sense of presence, not only your presence but also the telepresence of other people being in that same space. It can get really uncomfortable, and I think it's just the first step of this stuff, because the IK and the motion, the tracking is only going to get better, and we're only going to feel stronger senses of other people in VR. But the tools need to be there to let people really free themselves
Ghost,
of that.
mute, all that kind of stuff.
VR as an empathy engine has another side of that coin,
Yeah.
right, which is good, which is just as powerful, but for evil.
Right.
And it hadn't really struck home with me about how bad harassment could be in VR compared to chat rooms. And chat rooms were what we had in the 90s, and they were all over the news.
Right.
I mean, once VR really starts to catch mainstream and this type of thing becomes more and more possible, it can be a dark place. And I really think developers have to think out of the gate about these harassment tools, anti-harassment tools.
Also, it's a different tier. I mean, there's harassment at all sorts of levels, and it's all bad, from verbal harassment to text.
Right.
But this is it feels like a real violation of your personal space.
Exactly.
Is this on the game? I know the game developers have to do something in these specific cases, but are there Uber tools that we think Oculus can make too around this? Because all they have really is a reporting mechanism at this point.
Well, currently in the beta, all you can do is report to Oculus. And so that is a thing. And that would be interesting, like if there was a Steam VR layer kind of thing where you could pull up and it would flag them and report immediately to the mothership. That's an interesting idea. But it is really on the developers to do something wonderful. And they are planning at launch to both be able to ghost and mute other players, so that they become a shape in space rather than a full person.
Even a shape is, there's presence in a shape.
Yeah, it would be interesting if they just made them invisible.
Yeah.
But certainly that'll help.
Yeah. All right, let's go to what we've been testing.
Boom, 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 boom. Oh, I brought up the editor.
Testing this week. Hey, what have you guys been testing?
Couple things, Jeremy.
Oh yeah, well I've been testing the Glowforge.
Yes.
What have you made?
Couple things. I made myself a Echo Arena disc.
Wow.
Which is
That looks great.
pretty substantial. It's like heavy. You know, you can really hurt somebody with this. And that's
Nice.
I did that just like we
Look,
talked
I gotta
about
punch Norm in the head and steal the disc.
the other week. We talked about scraps. So I went to Tap Plastics. Went to their scraps heap. That is a glass-like acrylic, so it has that green edge to it.
I like it.
But then once I did that, I wanted to do a light-up one.
so this is 3 layers
Yeah.
with 2 different types of material thickness.
Right. Yeah.
Pretty thick acrylic here you got.
That's it, thick acrylic. What is it? 1/4 inch.
Wow.
So
yeah.
how long did the cuts take on the Glowforge for a material that thick?
The glass, the etch takes forever. The glass one took an hour to really etch. So it was like 5 minutes to cut, but the etch
what
took
etching?
forever.
Oh, you had etching in the center there.
Right
I see,
here.
I see. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
This looks great. And did you just glue the pieces together? Is that how it's done?
Yeah, I super glued it. I found out that super glue leaves it doesn't look good, so it's because it's transparent gray, you can sort of see it. So with this other one, I went with black.
Did you have you tried acrylic cement?
No, I have some on order, but it's a solvent, so
Yeah.
you gotta have a lot of open air to do that.
No. It's
Does it smell that bad?
Doesn't smell bad at all, but you have very little. It's not forgiving at all.
Oh, yeah.
Once it bonds, that's it.
Oh, fine. That's
Yeah.
fine for me because the super glue it's a little finicky.
Yeah.
What I discovered was the one side of the acrylic has a little bit of a lip, right? Like where the laser exited and it melts down.
Yeah.
And so if you try to glue those 2 sides together, it resists.
Yeah.
So you have to find the flat side.
It's nice on that laser because it's a glass tube, so you get continuous line on the side. You don't have any of the banding on the edges, especially the thick 1/4 inch.
Oh,
So there we go.
Wow.
So this is the light up version.
People have to watch
Yeah.
the video for this. Jeremy made another
Boom.
Lone Echo disc. You're making fan art
I know.
for a VR game.
I know.
With your home laser cutter.
and that's just a simple LED light up base.
Yeah, you can get those bases off of Alibaba and AliExpress, or you can just get like one that comes with a laser cut with it on eBay, and they're like $10. And then, I laser cut the same model, just shrunk it down.
Nice.
But it's fun. Like that was my first light up edge lip laser cut thing.
Are you going to do any finishing on this?
No,
No, I think that's fair. I open up the question because I wonder, like with your Glowforge, how
Yeah.
much do you feel like you need to do any finishing on the sides of some of the cuts?
well, this problem with the edges being having a little bit of a bevel to them, you can sand that down. That would
Yeah.
be the only finishing that I would do. But one of the benefits of laser cuts is they are relatively finished.
No, it looks really
Yeah.
finished already.
Yeah,
That's
so
great.
that's what I've been testing. I've been enjoying the Glowforge. It's holding up quite well, and the software updates are coming fast and furious.
I think we can do another rev of that of your disc. Because if you look at the image of the
One that
in-game
flies?
model of the disc,
Oh, he's criticizing
It's-
your fan art.
the in-game model has more dimensionality than
Wow.
three layers.
This is intentionally iconified.
Oh, okay.
This is
Okay.
a minimalist
All right.
version of the disc. I thought about using a tool that you can run in the background when you're running a game to capture the in-game assets. And then you could grab the disc and 3D print it, make a combination 3D print laser cut, LED light up. That would be the ultimate.
Yeah, very, very cool.
Yeah.
Maybe on one of your shows. Yeah.
Last night, Norm called me in my kitchen.
Yeah.
On the phone?
No, not at all. I tried to call Jeremy, but he had already returned the device I was trying to call him with.
That's true. What did he call you on?
Well, I finally got up and running my Echo Show, and we tried out the calling feature on it, and it actually rang through to my phone first to alert me that this was happening through the app, and then I walked into my kitchen and turned it on. It was kind of pixelated because of bandwidth constraints. I'm sure on my end, because Mr. Fiber over there is probably doing all right.
I think it's low bit rate no matter what.
Oh,
no matter
really?
how good. Yeah, it's not that high bit rate.
The audio was fine. I know what you guys said about the show last week. I'm actually having an okay experience with it so far because I disabled all of those notifications
All
that
the news,
really get in
yeah.
your face.
Wait. You can disable the things it forces at you?
Yeah,
Where? In the app?
on the actual device.
All right, I'll take one more look at it.
So basically, I just have it. It just says weather and time on there for me, and I have it listing out things I can try. just because
I
was
don't
like,
want that. You can turn that off?
You can turn that off
All right.
too.
All right.
So I turned that off, and then I put a custom picture up so it's not even moving anymore. And I've liked it so far. The visual interface on it, I added some skills to like do some bus timings and stuff, and that's been great. It's like your engine is coming in 1, 3, or 6 minutes, and it said it visually on the screen. I like how the timers have worked on it. The transcription of what I'm saying showing up on the screen has been pretty good so far. So I'm marginally happy, but the criticism that you levied on it were completely fair.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, my biggest criticism was this forced information, so I'm glad you could turn that off.
It's early, though. There aren't enough skills for it. I mean, my favorite thing that I enabled is I have a security camera in my garage, and with a couple simple commands, it just sort of comes up, which I think is pretty great.
You should try the lyrics thing. It's fun. It's really a karaoke machine. It's the best karaoke machine. You play a song, you say, show me the lyrics. They bounce across the screen.
Oh, that's great.
I've been building a computer museum, so this is a ton of fun. I posted some images on Twitter. This is a fun project. I don't know why you're smirking like that. This is my first 3 PCs, and I bought a desk that's super small, and I've mounted them all in there. I'm doing careful wiring.
I saw pictures.
Yeah.
You gotta check it out on Jeremy's Twitter. But the whole point of this is to share your history of computers with your children.
Yeah.
And let them appreciate some of the classics.
They're still at the age where they're open about this kind of thing.
I'm glad.
They need to play Wing Commander, Prince of Persia, Out of This World.
The original X-Wing is my favorite
There you
old
go.
school
Maybe
game.
not Zork.
Oh,
Yeah.
Zork.
No, actually, I told you about that. We played it on the train.
Oh, that's right.
They were totally into it.
All right. Well-
Lights out at nighttime. It's a blast.
Wow. You can, of course, find pictures of everything we're referencing, a lot of these on our social media accounts. You can find Jeremy at Jerware on Twitter and Kishore at ScienceKish. I'm at NChan, and we'll be back next week. I may not be in. I'll be at Comic-Con, but hopefully we'll have another episode that Jeremy and Kishore will do. Cross our fingers. But you can also find all of our Comic-Con content on the website and our YouTube channel. We should have a new episode of Science in Progress for you guys very soon, wrapping that up very, very soon. And the latest episode of Bits to Atoms just wrapped, so you guys can look forward to that as well.
That's a good one.
That one's super fun.
On testederic.com. We'll see you guys next week. We have an outro this week.
Hi there, I didn't see you. Tested.
It's gotta be really hard to be a billionaire because there's not a whole lot of things you can spend $35 million on.
Tweets to @Jerware.
Fartbus.co.